Amen. Thank you, choir, for reconsecrating this sacred space, made more sacred in this moment by the presence and the attention of each and every one of us. Our live stream has connected viewers between this sanctuary and places as far as Switzerland, Mombasa, Toronto, and Ecuador, and local places like New York City, Boston, Cambridge, and Woburn. This is the place where we're planning to say, if you're joining by live stream this morning, you'll notice that we're using our YouTube channel where you can now make comments. And despite road testing it for most of Friday, it is not working. But hopefully by now, folks at home have gotten an email where they can find us, or they've seen the comment on the YouTube page where they can find us, and you're joining us through old-fashioned StreamSpot. For the folks who are here in the sanctuary, there's a camera kind of by the arch and the rainbow banner. If you can wave towards that corner of the room, we are waving towards our friends here, near and far. And for those who are here in the sanctuary, let's take a moment to turn and greet one another.
Good morning. Welcome to the Winchester Unitarian Society. We are fortunate to have all of you in the sanctuary today and all of you who are with us via live stream or whatever it turns out to be today. I'm Marcy Thompson, today's worship associate. Ours is a broad welcome. We welcome individuals of all racial and ethnic backgrounds, individuals of all sexual orientations and genders, individuals of all incomes and abilities, individuals of all religious beliefs, and individuals with beliefs not always considered traditionally religious. We are all glad to be together this day. As we join together in this welcoming community, let us focus on our Unitarian Universalist values of spiritual growth, social transformation, and environmental responsibility, and recommit to living these values through worship, reflection, connection, and service. Now for a few brief announcements. If you arrived a little early today, you noticed that we are now scrolling announcements on the screen and on the live stream beginning at 10:15. If you missed the announcement, please pay attention to this very short recap. We hope it's short. Today, immediately after worship, all are invited to head down to Metcalf to load our plates at the potluck dinner or potluck table, and then take our lunch outside. If you're not sure where Metcalf is, just follow the crowd. Our pandemic practices are shifting. When you enter the building for worship, please wear a mask. In services where children leave after the first 20 minutes for RE, the remaining members of the community may be together, mask optional. The choir has chosen to remain masked, so those wanting to sit among masked people may sit among the choir up front. Today's service is all ages, so we will remain masked throughout, and when we get out and have our lunch at Metcalf, we would remain masked until we get outside. We would like to thank Jennifer Edwards for all her work in arranging our snacks and good eats for our summer services. Thank you, Jennifer. Next Sunday, religious education begins. There will be an outdoor brunch for the RE community after worship. That evening, our youth group, WCG, gathers for a kickoff barbecue. Also next Sunday, we will hold a memorial service for longtime member and leader John Russell at 2 p.m. All are welcome. Yoga is back with a new day and time. Thursdays from 5:30 to 5:45 start. Well, it says 5:45. That's odd. Okay. Thank you, Fritzy. That's, yeah. 6:45 starting September 22nd. The class is led by member Fritzy Nace. Mats, blankets, blocks, and straps are provided. For all these things, please see our newsletter highlights for more information. And now let us receive a special welcome from Unitarian Universalist Association President and former WUS student minister, the Reverend Susan Frederick Gray.
Hello, Unitarian Universalists. I'm the Reverend Susan Frederick Gray, President of your Unitarian Universalist Association. It is so good to be with you for another season of Ingathering. This time marks the end of summer, when we come together to renew our commitments to each other, to our Unitarian Universalist communities, and to begin another vital year of ministry. In the summer months, I hope that you and your loved ones found some time to rejuvenate your bodies and spirits, to rest, to enjoy the long summer days, to pursue hobbies that bring you joy. I know that the world is all too much, and it matters that we take time to rest. For rest is necessary for the quality of our lives, of our ministries, and of our spirits. We are all living in what I have come to call a liminal time, a time in between. The pandemic has upended so much. After 2 years plus of virtual and hybrid gatherings in our congregations, the ways in which people connect to religious community has broadened, and new patterns are still emerging. On so many levels, what comes next is still unfolding and being imagined. As Unitarian Universalists, we are called to care for each other and to create resilient, theologically imaginative spiritual community that sustains us and inspires us as we navigate what's to come and what is needed. And there is so much needed. From support access to reproductive care, to showing up through UU the Vote to elect leaders that will work to protect our children, our planet, our future, and our deeply held values. It also matters that we attend to doing the fundamentals of religious community, like supporting children and families recovering from, and in some cases still experiencing, the collective trauma of the last few years. Our world needs our message of love and justice. Our world needs brave, bold, and loving communities that are in the struggle for equity, dignity, and compassion. One way to join with your sibling Unitarian Universalists in this work is through UU the Vote. You can find out more at uuthevote.org. Your Unitarian Universalist Association is the embodiment of the covenant that all of our congregations make to each other to support each other. And the UUA is here because of your commitment to make and support and amplify our values, to support each of our congregations in their time of need, and to be more than any of us are alone. At the UUA, we are committed to being steadfast partners with you in this liminal time and in all that is ahead. As you gather in this sacred hour and join again in community, May we each remember the hundreds and thousands of Unitarian Universalists that are gathering all across our association, celebrating and calling themselves back into the power and the possibility of faithful community. For we are not alone, and we make each other strong. I send you my love and my blessings as we enter this new congregation year and celebrate in gathering. Much love and deep care to all of you.
Let us now open our hearts and minds to the spirit of worship by singing. Please rise in body or in spirit to sing hymn 118, This Little Light of Mine.
As folks take their seats, I invite our youngest friends to take a seat here before the stairs. That's you with the fun glittery ear hats. All children, please come forward. So we're going to start with a very short story. It's a story I heard. I don't know if it's true, to tell you the truth, but there is some honest truth in it. In this story, there's an anthropologist who visits an indigenous community, and they form a relationship, and the anthropologist pays attention to what the indigenous community is singing about and praying about, and eventually, the anthropologist pulls aside a leader and says, you know, I notice that when you sing songs about water. I notice when you pray about water. Why are you so focused on water? And the indigenous leader says, well, we don't get a lot of water here. That's why we're always singing about the rain, and we need water to survive. That's why we sing about water. That's why we pray about water. And then they pause, and they asked the anthropologist a question. So I've listened to some of your songs on the radio, and I notice that you're always singing about love. Is it because you don't quite get enough of it? I invite our children to come up on the chancel as they will light our chalice. And we dedicate our chalice with these words. On this day of ingathering, we kindle the chalice flame as a symbol of the little light within us all and the warmth of love made real when we come together as a community Our young friends may return to the front of the steps while some special teachers will remain for a little introduction. Ingathering is a time to make new friends, to strengthen established relationships if we've been here before, and to form new bonds with people we haven't met yet. The kids should be over here. Yes, in this spirit, we'd like to take a moment to celebrate some key staff leaders in our religious education ministries. Sam Wilson is entering his 9th year with the Winchester Unitarian Society. Woo! That's like 20 in religious professional years. So to some, he's an old friend. Sam was first hired to serve as our Director of Youth Ministries, leading our youth group. Last year, his role shifted to also provide support for our RE program for the younger folks and to prepare us for the next chapter with the youngest members of our congregation. This year, and until further notice, Sam will be providing oversight to all of our religious education programs for those newborn to seniors in high school in collaboration with lay leaders in the congregation. Yes, we can clap to that. And he'll continue to directly lead the youth group and our emerging junior high youth group, Spread the Word. Thank you, Sam, for your flexibility and commitment. And that's a lot for one person and a couple committees to manage, so we are delighted to welcome Brenna Mayer as our half-time coordinator of children's religious education, working closely with Sam and our families to turn our hopes and vision for children's RE into reality in the most fun way possible. Thank you and welcome, Brenna Mayer. And we are also delighted to welcome our new Assistant Director of Youth Ministries, Allison Luck, who will be closely working with Sam and the youth groups to make sure that magic happens. Thank you and welcome, Allison. And with that, we have much of the cast of today's story, The Well of Belonging. So let us shift gears into that tale. It was hot and dry. Even the children, normally running about no matter the hour or the weather, sought the scraps of coolness in the shade of the willow. The shade of the willow. There's a slide of a willow. There we go. The grown-ups fanned themselves on the porch bench in front of the store.
Well, I, for one, would like to hear the peepers again at night, but even the Aberjona has run dry.
Yes, and the feeling of green grass underfoot, not everything brown and hard-baked.
And how long has it been since I tasted fresh water from the stream? The best I can hope for now is a handful of sand. Why, it's so dry even that willow can't weep.
I talked to Fred at the farmer's market. He said that the farmers don't think their farms will survive if we don't get some water soon.
I feel bad for the kids. Summer was always a time of freedom and adventure when I was growing up. They lie around in the shade instead of running and exploring like we did as kids. It's just too darn hot.
How did it come to all this? Is there anything we can do?
We believe that human beings can change things. But sometimes before we act, it's important to pay attention to what we're feeling when times are stressful, like during a drought, or times when we're afraid, like when we worry about where the plants and animals will find enough water. When we're feeling strong things, even when we feel joy, it is good to take part in ritual. Rituals are a way of saying what we feel, but without words and with our bodies. So I invite us to imagine the people in this story leaving the store, to pause and to participate in a ritual of some sort. It is something they can do before they go and do something. It is something that can heal an already anxious heart, calm a troubled mind, and lift an already elevated spirit. We're going to pause too. It is our regular practice to kindle the light, a time to light a candle here in the sanctuary or at home in recognition of a joy, sorrow, or concern we hold within. Our young friends are invited to light the LED candles in front of the lectern table, while adults may light the candles at the side table. If you would like a candle brought to you, please raise your hand. As we prepare to kindle the light, I invite us to bear witness to the joys and sorrows we hold in this community and beyond. We hold in love Ellen Lang, celebrating her recent birthday and healing from recent knee surgery. Ways to be in touch may be found in highlights. We remember with gratitude and great love John Russell. A service and celebration of his life will be held next Sunday at 2 p.m. We celebrate with Joan Baldwin and Martina Werner, whose art is being featured at the Winchester Public Library for the month of September. And beyond this community, in the wake of the death of Queen Elizabeth, we affirm resistance to empire, to colonialism and its monarchs, and we remember a leader of long, difficult, and selfless service to needs greater than her own. Long live duty, long live service, long live grace, long live hope for a better tomorrow. And recall the pain of this day, this anniversary of the terrorist attacks on September 11th, 2001, the losses and suffering and lives forever changed for those who survived. I now invite us to kindle the light, after which we'll be together in a time of shared silence. Let us join in this ritual of memory and hope together. The heat continued without a drop of rain to give anyone hope that there might be more. The children gathered under the willow every day, but no one had the energy to play. In fact, the heat was starting to fray their tempers a bit.
So what will we do? We can't go wading, we can't catch frogs, we can't even play tag without getting so hot we have to lie down.
Come on, no need to get sore at us. We didn't tell the rain to stop.
Don't talk back at me, I'm older.
Both of you quiet. Between your griping and this heat, I'm getting a headache. I wonder what the grown-ups are planning to do. I mean, we can't go much longer without rain.
Now, the grown-ups, they were having a similarly unproductive conversation on the porch bench.
Well, it might work okay for you to be inside with your shades drawn, but that doesn't help the farmers' plants live. And I'll remind you that those plants end up on your dinner table. Sooner or later, the consequences of this drought are going to come knocking on your door too.
I don't need reminding. The ugly brown patch that was my beautiful lawn is reminder enough.
Ha! The last I knew, you can't eat grass.
All right, you two, that's enough. No sense getting your dander up in this heat. It isn't healthy.
Good morning. How are you today?
You could say that we're getting a little hot under the collar from this dry spell.
Isn't it awful? I mean, the heat is bad enough, but then we start getting short with one another. It makes it even worse. I asked Mrs. Welby there at Cafe Nero downtown if she could make my sandwich without lettuce, and she nearly barked at me that there wasn't any lettuce anyway. The drought is taking much more than water from this place. It's taking away our decency and goodwill.
I hear you. It's hard to stay positive when farmers' crops are dying. There's no hope left.
Wait, that's it.
That's what?
Well, remember when I hurt my leg and you came with a rose and we sang Come Sing a Song with Me together? Well, that did me a world of good. I was up and about in no time.
What are you getting at?
Well, let's sing together now.
How's that going to bring the rain?
It won't necessarily, but it will certainly make us all feel better being together with a common purpose, don't you think?
Well, it's worth a try at least.
So they gathered together other townspeople, including the children, and they started to sing. Now, your order of service does not say number 346, but that is the number of Come Sing a Song with Me, the hymn that we are going to sing. 346, let's rise and sing with enthusiasm. As the town folks sang together, they remembered all of the times they had supported each other in the past. They started smiling as they sang until everyone had gathered under the willow. When the song was over, everyone smiled, and while they didn't hug each other because it was still too hot, their smiles were like cool water, nourishing their souls. Then the children heard a sound.
What is that?
What's what?
Yes, it's coming from over there.
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt. I heard your singing and I just had to come and see who was making such a joyful noise in this heat. I know that song well, although it's been many years since I've heard it. I especially like the part that says, "And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find."
The townsfolk felt like the singing and the newcomer had brought them back to themselves and all that they meant to one another. They welcomed this new person into their town and into their hearts. And while her arrival didn't bring any rain that day, she did bring the gift of hope and faith in each other. This stranger, this new friend, was a physical reminder of how everything will change, and sometimes for the better. One day, soon after the stranger came to town, it started to rain.
We're going to hand out some instruments. We're all going to make rain. There's drums and shakers and all kinds of noise makers, so dig in.
So when we invite people to make drops, is that just making a little bit of noise?
So if you don't have an instrument, I will show you with my hands a suggestion of what you could do to make noise. Okay? All set, Sam?
It started with a few drops. Those drops turn into showers. And those showers turned into storms. And the people rejoiced, dancing and hollering together in the rain. And then standing arm in arm, admired the rainbow after the rain. The rainbow.
The rainbow.
The people had learned something they had known but had forgotten. Love, joy, and acceptance of something new. It renews hope and faith in ourselves and in each other and brings about a world where all is possible. Thank you, cast. I'll give you hope when hope is hard to find. If you think about it, this is the best job description for a spiritual community. Most of us can think about life's big questions on our own, but when we're afraid, when we don't know what's going to happen next, it's hard to get through those times by ourselves. Today's story about a drought was a fictional one written by Lane Hammock and tailored for today by our own Brenna Mayer. But if you've been paying attention to the weather this summer, the story wasn't entirely made up. Here is a map I found on a website tracking the water levels in Massachusetts. We have been in a time of severe drought, according to the people who study these things. I'm not surprised. Not too long ago, I was taking my dog Armand for a walk at Horn Pond. If he were standing in this spot when the wet water is at its usual level, he would be in over his head or at least swimming. Sometimes the water runs low. Sometimes the pond goes dry. We can't make it rain, so sometimes the only thing we can do is hope. If I'm going to be honest, though, sometimes hope runs low, too. Every year we affirm that this place that we gather, our beloved congregation, is like the gathering of many waters, pooling together to soothe, to nourish, and to heal. But what do we do when our spiritual pond starts to dry up? There have been at least 2 moments I know of when there was a drought. There is a long-time practice of saving the water from water communion, setting it to boil to make sure we don't nurture any bacteria over the year, and using it in times of community care, when we bless a newborn child in a child dedication, or when someone is sitting in a hospital chair receiving chemotherapy. Many, many years ago, right after a time of upset in the congregation, someone threw out our saved water. Were they upset, or were they just trying to be tidy? Who knows? But thankfully, members of our pastoral care team still had some from when they visited congregants. One of the best gifts I received when I first arrived 7 years ago was a small container of water pulled from Karen Erickson's freezer. These few drops provided a link between my brand new ministry and many years of shared ministry before me. That year, we were also blessed to welcome water all the way from Marshvachahe, Transylvania, carried in the luggage of our partner church visitors. Going forward in a tangible way, they and their spiritual home have stayed with us. That was close. But there was another close call. As the years went by, I kept writing the dates of each water communion service on the container where I keep the water in my office. I soon realized that it would be better to print a label with the dates than use a pen, as I was running out of room. I decided to bring the container home with me, as that's where I keep my printer labels. This was early in the pandemic, when we were all getting used to working and attending school from home, making jokes about the frustrating things our coworkers did. One day, I came home from a walk and was horrified by what my coworker, my previous dog Temple, now of blessed memory, had done with the contents of my bag. You can't see it in the photo, but the container of water was in my bag. Temple apparently found it interesting and decided to chew a hole in it. True confession time. Most of the saved water communion water we have gathered and blessed and passed on from year to year, was then soaking into my rug. I held up the container and looked closely. There was but one large drop of water left, pooled in at the bottom. This one drop was like a seed. I found another container, transferred the drop, added some more water, and the line throughout time was again made unbroken. It makes sense that the water almost ran dry during the pandemic. The past few years have made it extremely difficult to gather, ironically, times when we perhaps needed community the most. Like other congregations, we have Zoomed and had outdoor gatherings that really should have been indoors, and relied on the phone and email when visits were not possible. But when folks have been honest with me, these ways of connecting have left many still feeling thirsty for community. If you're like me, these couple days this week when it rained brought great joy. After the storm, I brought Armand back to the pond and was delighted to see a shoreline very different from before. The water level is not back to where it's supposed to be, but I can observe that we are moving closer towards balance. These small signs give me hope. In our story, the people didn't know what to do in the drought. They ended up singing together, and then the rains came. The singing did not bring the rain. That's not how rain works. But we do know that the singing brought a sense of togetherness among the people. The singing brought hope, and that's how community works. Sometimes it takes someone from outside our circle, a newcomer, to bring us back to ourselves. Sometimes it takes some courage and effort to lift our voices when we're feeling down. But this builds more courage and more energy, which might inspire the people to change the things we can, like working in many different ways to better care for the earth so we have fewer droughts. The earth is far from being healed, and we in this congregation and beyond are still piecing together a new normal after years of disruption. But as we edge away from severe drought, as we move towards a time of more tangible connection, let us remember that just as the old systems of water and soil finding their balance still function as they should when they can, the magic of community, of finding and making hope and song with one another, is also still alive. Let us keep it alive, and let us help it grow.
At this point in our service, we're invited to make an offering as a collective affirmation of our shared values and commitment to the mission and support of this liberal religious congregation and its many ministries. We hope to cultivate a spiritual practice of gratitude and giving, both personally and financially. Our tradition is to share the plate by giving half this offering to an organization that supports our mission. This morning, we share our gifts with the Mystic River Watershed Association, whose mission is to protect and restore the Mystic River, its tributaries and watershed lands for the benefit of present and future generations, and to celebrate the value, importance, and great beauty of these natural resources. Information for giving electronically is provided in the live stream and in your order of service. Please write or type the date of your offering in the memo line or comment field. Contributing soon, in lieu of one lump sum for a period of time, it's easier to process and empowers us to send our collective gift as soon as possible. Those who wish to do so are invited to share in the unison affirmation. We gather not for ourselves alone, but to use our common power to build the beloved community within and beyond these walls. We create and reaffirm this covenant this day to make justice flourish, to practice compassion amidst difference, and to embody transformative love.
We've come to the time in our service where we will gather our waters, using this precious earth element to embody this moment when we flow towards something larger and something greater than our individual streams of life. And the smaller tributaries maybe can go a little bit, there we go, back a little bit, please. I begin by recalling the original stewards of the land upon which we gather by pouring a little water from the Aberjona River. Aberjona from the Natick language meaning confluence. We remember Nanapashamet, the leader of a coalition of tribes, including the Massachusetts and the Pawtuckets, and his spouse and descendants, for whom this place, our spiritual home, is their home. And we remember our spiritual ancestors, those who came before us and tended to the building and community of the Winchester Unitarian Society over the generations, represented by this water passed down throughout the years. And we affirm those not attending in body today, but by live stream, by pouring some symbolic water for them. If you would like someone to come to your pew to collect your water, please raise your hand. And if you're attending this service via the live stream on the Bell Tower Terrace, someone will come outside shortly to collect your water. All others are invited to come to one of these 3 vessels. And if you forgot your water, no problem, we have extra. And if you want to tell those receiving your water where it's from, we'd love to know. Let us now gather the waters. We have poured all of our waters together, and so now I will offer a blessing, and I invite you here in the sanctuary to join me by just raising a hand towards the bowl. And folks at home can raise your hand towards the screen. Together we will bless the gathered waters. Spirit of life and love, we pause in gratitude for all that gives us life. The simple yet extraordinary elements that sustain us: oxygen, water, plants, and nutrients. And the simple yet extraordinary spiritual elements that make us whole: friendship, discovery, creativity, celebration, love, and a world made just. To the work of many hands. As we have gathered and pooled this sacred source, may we remember that this congregation, this body, is also a vessel for healing, a vessel for hope, a vessel for making good change. May this year ahead be a year of good fortune, with laughter hanging in the air like music, and friendships, new and old, blooming among us. May it be so, and through all that we do, may we make it so. Amen. Let us now rise and sing our closing hymn. Excuse me. As we leave this place, may we know and share these blessings. After a long, dry heat, cooling waters. After the rain, a shining rainbow. After a long day, a sweet night's sleep. After the worry and the tears, a shooting star to bear our wishes to the heavens. After the gathering, the departing, only until we gather again. Go in peace. Amen.